Here's something that almost no one talks about. 5 years ago, XRP was being delisted from every major exchange in the United States. The SEC was suing the company behind it. Investors didn't know whether their holdings were even legal. And now, that same asset is being discussed as a candidate for America's official strategic crypto reserve. This is one of the most dramatic comebacks in the history of finance. And if you still don't fully understand what XRP actually is or why any of this matters, that's exactly what this video fixes. Over the next 12 minutes, I'm going to break down what XRP is, the real problem it was built to solve, how it compares to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and what the SEC lawsuit was all about, and why banks and institutions around the world are paying very close attention right now. No jargon, no price predictions, just the clearest explanation of XRP. Now, before we continue today's crypto update, if you've been holding your crypto for months, even years, what has it actually done for you? Because most holders I talk to, they're doing the same thing, just waiting, hoping, watching the market move. But smart money doesn't just sit, it works. Instead of letting your assets sit idle, you can put them into liquidity pools and generate yield while still holding long terms. No lockups, withdraw anytime, and the platform has been operating since 2018. But here's what's interesting about this. FortisX is now going through a regulatory review process with the SEC, and that's a big step. It's not something that most platforms even attempt. And it says a lot about where this is going long term. There's a major announcement coming soon around this, so definitely keep your eyes on it. Because while most people are still waiting for someday, some holders are already putting their assets to work and compounding quietly in the background. If you're holding anyway your crypto, well, it should be doing something. You're gonna find. So stick with me. Now, before anything, let's clear up the single biggest source of confusion in this space. People say, I bought Ripple, but that's not quite right. You bought XRP. Ripple and XRP are two completely different things. Ripple is the company. It is a private fintech company founded in 2012, headquarters in San Francisco. They build payment software and tools for banks and financial institutions. They employ hundreds of people. They raise venture capital. They sign contracts. Now, XRP, on the other hand, that's a cryptocurrency. It's a digital asset that lives on its own independent blockchain called the XRP ledger, or the XRP. Now, the XRP ledger is open source and operates independently of Ripple, the company. I want you to think of it like this. Disney, that's the company. Mickey Mouse is the character. Now, Disney can have a bad quarter or even go bankrupt, but Mickey Mouse, he would still exist. In the same way, if Ripple, the company, shut down tomorrow, the XRP ledger, it would keep running. The validators on the network would continue processing transactions without Ripple lifting a finger. Now, look, Ripple does hold a large reserve of XRP, billions of tokens, which are held in escrow, that they released on a scheduled basis. That's something we'll come back to when we get to the risk section. But for now, Ripple is the company, XRP is the asset. Keep that clear. In the rest of this video, it's going to make a lot more sense. Now, to understand why XRP exists, you need to understand just how broken the current international payment system really is. Think about it. Right now, if you wanted to send money from the United States to the Philippines, a payment corridor that sees tens of billions of dollars in remittances every year, here's what happens. Your bank, they send a message. That message goes to a correspondent bank. That bank then sends it to another bank. That bank, well, they contract that recipient's bank. Each one, they hold the money temporarily, takes a fee, and then they pass it along. That whole process, it can take anywhere from 3 to 5 business days. The fees, they can eat 5 to 10% of that transfer. And if anything goes wrong in that chain, guess what? The money just stops. That system is called SWIFT. And guess what? It was built in 1973. The infrastructure moving trillions of dollars around the world every day was designed before personal computers even existed. Now, XRP was built to replace the middleman chain with a single bridge asset. Instead of hopping through 4 banks over 4 days, a payment using XRP settles on the XRP ledger in just 3 to 5 seconds, all for the fraction of a penny. Now that's the core pitch, right? A global, instant, near-free settlement layer for money, open to banks, to businesses, and individuals alike. Whether the world actually adopts it at scale, that's the billion-dollar question. But the problem it's solving, that problem is very real. Now, let's have a look under the hood here. And I'm going to keep this simple for you. Bitcoin, it uses a system called proof of work. Miners compete to solve complex math puzzles to validate the transactions and to add blocks. It's secure, but it's slow and it burns an enormous amount of electricity. Ethereum, it moved to proof of stake, which is more efficient, but it still requires validators to lock up their ETH as collateral. XRP, it uses neither. The XRP ledger uses a unique consensus protocol where a network of trusted validators, independent computers run by banks, universities, exchanges, and even individuals around the world, they simply agree on the state of the ledger every few seconds. There's no competition, no massive energy consumption, just fast, coordinated agreement. The result? Well, your transaction confirms in just 3 to 5 seconds. The network can handle 1,500 transactions per second, and the energy footprint, it's tiny. The XRP ledger has been carbon neutral since 2020, and it's been certified by the Rocky Mountain Institute. Now look, there are 100 billion XRP tokens in total. That number, it is fixed forever, hard-coded at launch. No new XRP will ever be created. About 57 billion are currently in circulation. Ripple, they hold the rest in escrow, and they release up to 1 billion XRP per month on a scheduled, pre-programmed basis, not at will. That's the engine. Fast, green, fixed supply, and running independently of any single company. Now, let's compare these three. People constantly, they pit these three against each other. Bitcoin, Ethereum versus XRP. But the truth is, they're not really trying to solve the same problem. Bitcoin is digital gold. It's a store of value and a hedge against inflation. Transactions are slow, 10 minutes per confirmation, sometimes even up to an hour, and your fees can spike 20, 30, or even higher than that during congestion. That's fine because no one's trying to buy a coffee with Bitcoin. They're treating it like a savings account. Now, Ethereum, it is a programmable blockchain. Think of it as like the internet's app store. It powers DeFi, NFTs, and thousands of smart contract applications. It's fast enough and versatile enough to run an entire digital economy. But it's complex. Gas fees can be unpredictable, and it was built for applications, not payments. XRP, it's none of that. XRP is a payment rail. Its entire design, the speed, the low fees, the fixed supply, the validated network, it was optimized for one thing: moving value from point A to point B as fast and as cheap as possible. There are 3 different tools for 3 different jobs. Understanding that makes XRP's actual value proposition a lot clearer. Now look, you cannot understand XRP without understanding the lawsuit, because for 3 years, it was the biggest single event holding XRP back. In December of 2020, the SEC, United States Securities and Exchange Commission, they filed a lawsuit against Ripple, claiming that the company has sold an unregistered security. In plain terms, They were saying as Ripple was essentially selling shares of its company while calling them crypto tokens. That is a major legal violation. Now, the impact was immediate. Coinbase, Kraken, Binance US, every major American exchange delisted XRP almost overnight. Billions of dollars in market cap evaporated. XRP holders in the US were left holding an asset they couldn't legally trade on most platforms. Then in July of 2023, something significant happened. A federal judge ruled that XRP sold on public exchanges is not a security. The reasoning? It was simple. Regular retail investors buying XRP on an exchange have no reasonable expectation of profit based on Ripple's efforts, which is the legal test for a security. The court drew a distinction between exchange sales and Ripple direct institutional sales, which were ruled to be securities. Ripple declared a major win. XRP was relisted everywhere, and in 2025, the case was fully settled. Ripple paid a $125 million fine, and the lawsuit was closed for good. The legal cloud that hung over XRP for years, it was gone. That is generally a significant development, and one that most cryptocurrencies, they still don't have. But here's where the XRP story gets generally interesting. Because unlike most crypto projects that are still waiting for real-world adoption, XRP actually has it. SBI Holdings, one of the largest financial conglomerates in Japan, they've been using XRP for cross-border remittances across Southeast Asia for years. SBI Remit runs one of the highest volume XRP payment corridors in the world, connecting Japan to the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and beyond. Ripple, they have active payment partnerships and licensing agreements in the Middle East, Latin America, and Europe. The UAE Central Bank has worked with Ripple on cross-border payment infrastructure. Standard Chartered in Singapore, they are involved. The list of financial institutions engaging with Ripple technology, it is long and has been quietly growing for years, while the lawsuit kept the headlines focused on the courtrooms. And now, with legal clarity finally established in the US, Ripple has been able to pursue American financial institutions in ways that it simply couldn't before. And is also RLUSD. That's Ripple's own US dollar stablecoin. It launched in late 2024. It runs on the XRP ledger, and it's designed to work alongside XRP for institutional settlements. Some skeptics asked whether RLUSD would replace XRP, but the two are designed to actually work together. And with XRP as the bridge asset and RLUSD as this stable settlement currency. So whether you're bullish or skeptical on XRP, the institutional foundation here is real. This isn't vaporware. The partnerships exist. The payment corridors are live. The question is scale. And before I close this out, let's be honest about the risk here. Because if I told you the good stuff, I'll be doing you a disservice. Centralization concerns. Ripple still holds a very large supply of XRP. Critics, including a lot of Bitcoin maxis, they argue that it's making XRP more of a corporate controlled asset than a truly decentralized cryptocurrency. It's a fair point. Ripple's escrow releases and token sales, they do give the company meaningful influence over price dynamics. That's different from Bitcoin, where no single entity holds anything close to that kind of supply. And now let's talk little competition. XRP isn't the only payment-focused blockchain. Stellar, which was actually co-founded by one of XRP's original creators, they're targeting the same cross-border payments. Solana, they're fast and cheap. Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, are being developed by governments worldwide and could potentially private crypto altogether for institutional settlement. So here's my honest summary. XRP has real technology, real institutional adoption, and now real legal clarity in the US. Things that most crypto projects don't have, or they never will have. But it also has genuine centralization trade-offs, real competition, and real volatility. Understand both sides before making any decisions. If this gave you the clearest picture of XRP and Ripple, that you've ever had, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I cover XRP news and general crypto news every single day, and we do it without the hype. If you got any questions, please drop it in the comments down below. I read them all, and I'll see all y'all